Mike and Shea, it is an honor and a pleasure.
Darren.
First, we're going to throw the first question here at Mike. Sometimes you're Michael, sometimes you're Mike. What is your preference?
I have a very strong preference, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Okay, but you're not a doctor, correct?
Correct. I'm not a doctor.
Not a doctor. That's the most iconic post-show greeting that we get since Sit Ubu Sit. Has anyone given you that compliment
Wow,
before?
that is high praise because when I was a kid, Sit Ubu Sid, Good Dog Woof was like that was like how you wanted every show to end. So I'll take it. Not a doctor. If that not a doctor is anywhere near that class, I'm thrilled. Thank you for saying that.
For sure. Now, I'm going to throw a question at you, and that's going to loop in Shea. And that's, how did Shea come onto your radar?
I got a call from my agent saying, "Hey, there's this guy who's coming out here to talk about doing TV projects. I think you might know him. He likes the NBA." And I was like, "Is it Shea Serrano?" And they were like, "Yes." So I was like, "I love that guy. I love his writing. I don't know him, but I'd love to meet him."
Right.
We met in my office at Universal. This is years and years ago now, like 5 years ago, right, Shay? Like
2017.
2017. And you can take over from there and explain what happened then.
Yeah, I went in. I showed up at Mike's office. They had sent me I was in LA for a week. They sent me on 35 meetings and 35
Wow.
rooms with 35 people or whatever. It wasn't that exact number, but it was a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
And so I was just like checking off the names on a list. I saw Mike Schur on there. At the time, I had no idea who he was. I just walked in and was like, "Oh shit, this is like Mose from the office." This is the first thing I said to myself. And I sat there and I talked with Mike for like an hour. And similar to how I have a blood in, blood out poster in my office, I have a Desperado poster over there, Bloodsport. Like he had all these posters of TV shows on his wall. And I was like, "Oh, that's
Right.
cool. He likes all the same shows that I like." And then when I left the meeting and I was telling the agents, "Oh, that guy was cool." Then they told me, "Oh, he made all of those shows." Like an idiot, I thought he just liked them. And there was like this shows that he had friggin' made. But yeah, we sat there and talked for like an hour, maybe 10 minutes about TV, and then 15 minutes about the NBA. We have kids who are about the same age. We talked about
Mhm.
that. So we just hung out, and it was like, "Oh, that guy seemed like a cool dude to hang out with. Like, let's try and make that happen."
Well, as Mike just said, the magic number of 2017, that's when we, the general public, found out that you, Shea, had a show in the works. So this show is a long time in the works. The show that we're seeing on Freevee, how does that resemble the original pilot that was pitched?
It's pretty close. I mean, the concept and premise are exactly the same. I think in the interim between the time we developed it for another network and then got it back and then Freevee
Mhm.
bought it. So after Freevee bought it, we had the writers together and we like broke the rest of the episodes. I think we went back and tinkered a little bit. Like we changed, we
Yeah,
wrote
we
some
we
new.
ripped it to shreds. Yeah, it was great. It was because that version I had written by myself, and
Mhm.
then when we got in the writers' room, it was Mike plus nine other people, everybody pitching better jokes, and I was like, "Oh, this fucking rules! Like this is way easier. That's a funnier thing. Let's do that. That's a cooler thing. Let's do that." Um,
Well, it's
but yeah,
also
the setup
yeah.
is the
It's
same. Yeah.
it's also the result of like we went forward and broke seven other episodes, and once we knew who the characters were, and you know
Hmm.
more about them, then you can look back at the pilot before you've shot it and say like, oh, we like the way this guy talks in episode 5. Let's make him talk that way in the pilot. Like, so that there are good things and bad things about this new system of television production. That's one of the good things is that you have a lot more time to kind of tinker and get stuff right from the beginning.
Right. Shay, do any of the uncles on camera look like your actual uncles?
Yeah, the guy who plays Uncle Jay specifically, when he walked in, I was like, "Oh shit, he looks like he's part of the family." You know what I mean? He's the same height, the same build, the same facial structure. He fit right in. All of the rest of them, they're like you. If you squint, you could see it. They're like the best versions of them.
Mhm.
But Uncle Jay was the when the real life Uncle Jay saw him on TV, because we did a screening for the uncles at my house or my mom's house. He
Mhm.
was very excited. He's like, "Oh, that guy's so handsome." He's like,
Well, following up what I was asking about how the show was long in development. Now, Shea, you're a prolific guy. Most people don't get a second book out. Obviously, you've done more than 2 books, the newsletter, etc. You're always creating. How did you have the patience to know to keep the show's development going after it didn't go the first time?
I didn't. I had no idea at all. We pitched it. We didn't get the pilot made, and then that was sort of it. I think at one point the agents CAA messaged me, and they're like, "Hey, if you want to come out to LA for like 5 months, we could probably get this made somewhere." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to stay in San Antonio or Houston at the time." And so it just sort of disappeared. And then during the pandemic, I got an email from David Miner, and he's like, "Hey, do you still want to do that show that we did a long time ago?" And I was like, "Are you and Mike and Morgan still doing it? Because if so, then yeah. If not, then I don't want to do it." And he was like, "Yeah, I think we can make it happen." And I just went, "Okay, cool." And then like a couple weeks later, he emailed back and he's like, "It's done. We did it." It's like, this is the craziest shit I ever heard in my life. So it was like 3 years of I didn't even think about it. I thought it was just gone forever. I wasn't upset. It was a very positive experience when we were doing it the first time. I thought, oh, they paid me money to write a script and we never even had to make it. It was like seemed like a pretty fair trade to me. And then all of this stuff happened and I was like, oh, this is way better.
Good answer. I appreciate that candor right there. Now, Mike, when you look at your IMDb, it looks like, man, that guy's always working. That guy always has a show on the air. But are there a lot of things from you that didn't go that we really wish went?
I mean, I don't know about we.
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah, look, there are plenty of ideas that people have had that I've produced or projects I've jumped on board for that I thought were really good that kind of didn't go anywhere. Aubrey Plaza and my friend Dave King and I had an idea for a show that we pitched around and like had a couple takers on, but like they couldn't make deals because the television landscape for production is so screwed up right now that companies all can't play nice with each other. So like the world lost out on an Aubrey Plaza show, which is sad to me. And yeah, every year there's stuff that I think is really good and worth doing that just doesn't quite get across the finish line, which is what made this so satisfying because I love the script Shea pitched. I love the script he wrote. And my manager and producing partner, David Miner, just always, every time a new outlet cropped up, he would slip them the script and go like, we wrote this for ABC a long time ago. What do you think? And eventually Lauren Anderson, who was an NBC executive who oversaw Parks and Recreation, landed at Freevee. And he was like, okay, here we go. And gave it to her. And like we thought, she really loved it. And it's just very rare that projects like this get a second chance 4 years after the fact. And in this case, it worked out. And I think the way the show turned out shows that it was really worth it. And that, thanks to David Miner and Lauren Anderson, we actually got the rare thing that you almost never get, which is like a true second chance somewhere,
Yeah, I was super pumped it worked out this way, especially after we found the cast, because the cast is absolutely perfect. And I don't know if 4 years ago we get them. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, hey, congratulations on making the show happen. Really looking forward to both of your upcoming projects. And thank you for your time today, Mike/Michael and Shea.
Thanks,
Darren.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Paltrocast.